This is career suicide. That's what one insider reportedly screamed as Drake's latest diss track hit the internet and almost instantly was dragged across every corner of the hip-hop world. Within minutes, fans, critics, and even rival rappers were all saying the same thing. This is the moment everything changes. Because not only did Drake just release what's being called the worst diss track of his entire career, but it came on the very same weekend that Clipse broke records and stole the crown, shattering expectations, charts and egos in one historic performance, and then the internet exploded. Kendrick Lamar's silence wasn't the story anymore. No. Now, the world was focused on Drake getting exposed for lying about his past with Kendrick, making up fake stories and lyrics and trying to save face after Clipse lit the world on fire with a surprise album that's already being called a top 3 hip-hop moment of the decade. But that's just scratching the surface, because what you're about to hear involves fake OVO insider leaks, record label betrayals, a hidden Kanye West message, and a diss that Drake allegedly begged Spotify to take down before it embarrassed him further. So buckle up, because this gets messy. Let's rewind the clock, not just to this week, but back years. Because what's happening now between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Clipse isn't just a music battle. No, this is decades of buried tension, egos, lies, and betrayal exploding in real time. And at the center of it all, Drake, the golden boy of radio streams, OVO leader, and self-declared Six God, is being exposed in front of the entire world. But here's what they don't want you to remember. This beef didn't start with a tweet. It didn't even start with that infamous control verse. No. The moment Kendrick first snatched Drake's soul on stage during the 2013 BET Cypher, insiders say Drake never emotionally recovered. Rumor had it that even back then, Drake was plotting quietly, feeding blogs, planting narratives, and secretly reaching out to Kanye to monitor Kendrick's rise. And guess what? It gets even darker. Because according to a former OVO engineer who spoke anonymously on the Tape Room Sessions podcast just last week, Drake allegedly had a Kendrick vault, a literal folder in his private studio sessions named KL Files, filled with reference tracks, voice memos, unreleased lines, and discarded diss verses aimed at Kendrick Lamar dating back almost 8 years. But every time he was about to drop, something would stop him. Drake was scared, the engineer said flatly. He never felt confident going at Kendrick. Every time he heard a new Lamar verse, it'd wreck his entire mood. I've seen him scrap entire albums, and as if that wasn't messy enough, here comes the twist no one saw coming. Clipse, Pusha T, and Malice, long believed to be semi-retired or quietly simmering in legacy status, just came back with the hardest album of the year, surprising fans with zero promotion, all bars, and pure smoke, including subliminal shots at Drake that instantly went viral. Clipse's album Resurrection Season dropped at midnight and by sunrise. Twitter was melting, but why now? Why would Clipse re-enter the ring on the same weekend Drake was preparing a comeback diss to Kendrick? According to industry insiders, this wasn't a coincidence. It was a calculated, coordinated industry power play to completely remove Drake from the hip-hop throne, and it worked. Because when Drake dropped his so-called nuclear bomb diss track aimed at Kendrick just 24 hours later, the world didn't flinch. In fact, the opposite happened. They laughed. Twitter called it embarrassing. Reddit users posted memes of Drake using ChatGPT to write his bars. And to make matters worse, several lines were proven to be total lies, especially about a fake story involving Kendrick allegedly calling him for advice back in 2020. Even Kendrick fans, usually the quiet, artsy types, were now mercilessly roasting Drake online. While the Clipse album was being declared a cultural reset, but it wasn't just the fans turning on him. Reportedly, even Spotify was concerned. Sources from within the platform claim Drake personally called his label and streaming partners the morning after release, asking for emergency meetings because the backlash was worse than Scorpion-era criticism. Oh, and here's where it gets even spicier. According to a leaked message shared by Our Hip Hop Crisis on Twitter, a former Rock Nation insider confirmed that Kendrick had absolutely no intention of responding to Drake ever again because the war is already over. That statement alone sent shockwaves through the industry. Is Kendrick done with Drake because he's already won? And what role did Clipse really play in this timeline of humiliation? Let's break it down, because as we dig deeper, we uncover a pattern of lies, betrayal, jealousy, and missed opportunities that might have sealed Drake's downfall years ago. So, let's talk about the diss that started the collapse. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night when Drake's team uploaded a track titled High Horse Free Smoke 2 to YouTube, SoundCloud, and all major streaming platforms. The cover art? A blurred-out photo of what looked like a Compton street sign drenched in purple smoke, with a broken crown underfoot. The caption? Since y'all love fiction so much, here's the truth. Fans rushed to listen, and at first it sounded promising. The beat had that classic OVO ominous vibe. The intro had layered vocals reminiscent of Tuscan leather, and for the first 40 seconds, Drake was talking his signature slick talk. But then, the bars hit, or didn't, because what came next left fans confused, underwhelmed, and in some cases furious. You called me back in 2020, said you lost your pen, needed my energy. I gave you light, you gave me shade, but now you drowning in the pool you made. Wait, Kendrick called Drake for help? That line alone made the internet pause. Within seconds, Twitter and Reddit lit up with skepticism. Did Kendrick actually ask Drake for guidance? Did that call even happen? Spoiler alert, it didn't. Less than 30 minutes after the song dropped, a viral tweet by hip-hop journalist Be Real Be Raw resurfaced to 2020. Clubhouse clip where Kendrick explicitly mocked artists for seeking validation from bigger stars during quarantine, and even name-dropped Toronto mans as people he avoids collaborating with for spiritual hygiene. So, how could he have called Drake for advice? That same year? Within the hour, fans began compiling receipts. Dozens of threads broke down inconsistencies in Drake's verses, references that didn't match timelines, quotes that were conveniently reworded. One TikTok creator even exposed how 3 lines from Drake's new track were plagiarized from an old fan diss verse posted on Reddit 2 years ago. Yup, plagiarized from Reddit. Ouch. And while Drake's verse tried to sound dangerous, dropping lines like, "Talk numbers, I own the building, you still rentin' pride in the name of realness," fans weren't buying it. One viral comment summed it up. Drake's acting like Kendrick's broken begging, meanwhile Kendrick just broke every record without saying a word. It's giving desperation. But here's the kicker. This track wasn't even the original version, allegedly. A leak from a private OVO Discord server reveals that Drake had a completely different diss recorded. Far more brutal, but pulled at last minute due to label and PR concerns. According to the leaker, Universal Music felt it would backfire. And guess what? Even this toned-down version did just that. It backfired hard. Meanwhile, as Drake's so-called lyrical grenade fizzled into digital dust, Clipse was setting the entire culture on fire. Let's rewind just 12 hours. The moment Clipse's surprise comeback album dropped, titled Resurrection Season, the energy shifted. It wasn't just a nostalgic release, it was a declaration of war on everything commercial, corny and inauthentic in hip-hop. And yes, that included Drake. You chartin' lies while I'm chartin' scriptures, my brother in grace, still sharper with scriptures. Malice on wrist work, feet, Pusha T. Clipse didn't mention Drake by name, they didn't have to. But what really set fire to the industry was track 4, 6th Ave Sermon, a haunting 5-minute banger where Pusha T raps, "When the boy went soft, we went silent." But now the silence is platinum and his streamin' ain't smilin'. Instant classic. That line alone trended on Twitter with over 320,000 tweets in 4 hours. And here's the juicy part. The track ends with a distorted voicemail. Guess whose voice fans think it is? That's right. Drake. Or at least, a heavily auto-tuned voice eerily similar, begging someone to squash this shot before it goes too far. Fans lost it. Was this an AI-generated jab? A real leak? A staged mind game? Insiders are still debating. But what's clear is this. Clipse just bodied Drake without ever saying his name. And the industry loved it. Even Bet jumped in with a now-deleted tweet that read, "Some people make noise. Others make history." Welcome back, Clipse. Bet subtweeting Drake? That's never happened before. And just when fans thought the Clipse comeback was the main story, another twist hit. Drake's own producer, 40, reportedly refused to mix the diss track. Multiple sources close to OVO claim that Noah, 40 Shabib, didn't want to be associated with the diss at all. He said it wasn't worth the embarrassment, leaked a supposed assistant engineer via Instagram DM. He said Kendrick already ended the war by saying nothing. And what about Kendrick? Still silent. But silence in this case is deafening. Because while Drake is screaming into the void with accusations, lies, and recycled flows, Kendrick is racking up critical acclaim. Clipse is being hailed as saviors of real rap, and the streets are chanting the unthinkable. Is Drake done? But wait, there's one more twist. Drake may have fabricated the Kendrick call, but what he didn't realize was that his lie triggered a full investigation by hip-hop podcasters, bloggers, and even AI voice analysts. Yup, that's how deep it's gotten. One YouTube channel, Rapper Seeps Daily, posted a 30-minute breakdown proving every major story in Drake's new diss was false or misleading. And that video alone hit 3.2 million views in 24 hours. And in the final seconds of their video, they teased something even darker, a text thread, allegedly between Drake and an unnamed journalist, showing Drake trying to bribe a blog to take down negative reviews of the Clipse album. If that leak is real, this story isn't just about a failed diss. It's about a desperate cover-up, and the internet isn't having it. So you thought Drake's fake Kendrick call, the flop of High Horse, Free Smoke 2, and Clipse's jaw-dropping return were the climax? Oh no, that was just the opening act. Because within 72 hours of Drake's diss dropping, what began as a music feud spiraled into a full-blown cultural meltdown, complete with Spotify censorship rumors, AI deepfake chaos, and a shocking twist involving Kanye West that threatens to dismantle the entire OVO brand from the inside. Let's dive in. The Spotify shutdown, it started as a whisper on Reddit. A user named Out inside the stream claimed that High Horse, Free Smoke 2 had been deprioritized in Spotify's algorithm, receiving none of the usual editorial playlist placements. Drake typically dominates. No rap caviar? No new music Friday. Not even mellow bars. At first, fans thought it was a glitch, but then a whistleblower from within Spotify posted anonymously on a music industry Discord server, stating, "There were internal discussions about whether to reduce visibility on this track due to misinformation and backlash." The Kendrick reference wasn't just controversial, it was considered disinformation. Wait, Spotify silencing Drake? The backlash to that rumor was instant. Drake fans cried censorship. Kendrick stans called it karma. And media outlets, from Rolling Stone to TMZ, started investigating. Spotify denied the claim, of course. But when users noticed that Drake's diss wasn't showing up even when searching for Kendrick, diss or Drake beef, the conspiracy, exploded. Some believed Spotify had quietly agreed with Kendrick's team to de-emphasize disses containing fabricated stories. Others claimed it was a secret label war behind the scenes, Universal versus Top Dog versus GOOD Music, fighting for hip-hop dominance. But regardless of the truth, one thing was clear: Drake's song was flopping and the internet had moved on. Well, almost. Because something even more disturbing was happening behind the scenes. The deepfake discovery, while the internet was busy memeing Drake's flop, a much darker revelation emerged. And it started with a TikTok user named iAudioCrackFiles, who posted a chilling discovery. Using audio forensic software, they analyzed the voicemail at the end of Clipse's 6th Ave sermon, which many fans assumed was a real, leaked Drake message. But the results were jaw-dropping. This is not a real Drake voicemail. This is an AI recreation. The software detects synthetic patterns in the intonation. It's a deepfake and an insanely good one. What? So Clipse faked a Drake voicemail? Well, not quite. Because according to AudioCrackFiles, the voice wasn't generated randomly. It was stitched together from actual Drake interviews and studio banter, meaning someone close to Drake had access to hours of private material. Who would do that? Speculation ran wild. Some pointed fingers at former OVO engineer Moji, who had a falling out with the camp years ago. Others suspected a disgruntled ghostwriter, but one theory sent shockwaves. It was Kanye. Hold up. Yes, that Kanye West, apparently. Several audio files used in the Drake deepfake were originally recorded during the infamous Wyoming sessions, back when Drake, Pusha T, and Kanye were briefly in contact, just before the story of Adidon nuclear bomb. Insiders now believe you saved those files. And now, he's allegedly leaking them strategically through allies, not just to sabotage Drake, but to fuel the Clipse comeback and restore God music's reputation after years of chaos. If this is true, it would mean Kanye West is secretly orchestrating the most elaborate takedown in modern rap history, all without dropping a single bar. But the twist doesn't end there, because at 4:44 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, something happened that shook the industry to its core. The deleted tweet heard around the world from the official Kendrick Lamar Twitter account, which hadn't tweeted in over a month, came one cryptic line: "Lie once, and they doubt you forever." No or Drake, no hashtags, no promo. Just 15 words that sent the entire internet into DEFCON 5. Within 30 seconds, the tweet had over 100K likes. Within 2 minutes, it was deleted, but the damage was done. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans immediately assumed the message was aimed directly at Drake. Even Kendrick's fan accounts began sharing compilations of every time Drake had twisted history to his advantage. The narrative had shifted. Completely, this wasn't about rap supremacy anymore. This was about credibility. And for the first time in years, Drake didn't have any. And guess who took advantage? Clipse saw it an hour later. The duo posted a new short video to Instagram with zero caption. It showed a chessboard. A hand moved a queen piece to checkmate. Fade to black, checkmate, the fallout by Monday morning. Industry blogs had declared Clipse's Resurrection season the album of the year frontrunner. Despite being out for only 72 hours, meanwhile, High Horse, Free Smoke 2, had fallen off the charts entirely, with outlets calling it the biggest misfire of Drake's career since Toosie Slide. And get this, Universal is reportedly in crisis meetings, discussing how to reposition Drake's image, fearing that the combination of flopped diss, misinformation allegations, and Kanye's silent campaign has permanently damaged the brand. Insiders say merch drops have been canceled. A major Apple Music partnership has been quietly paused. And most shocking of all, Drake's tour dates for Europe are being reviewed. Could Drake's empire be crumbling faster than anyone imagined? Or is he secretly preparing one last move? A move so explosive it could change everything again? Because while fans are laughing and critics are dancing on his grave, there's a rumor, a whisper, that someone else is about to enter the battlefield, and they're not coming to play. Drake thought he could control the narrative, but the streets had already spoken. Because while OVO scrambled behind the scenes to clean up the mess, the public response turned into a tsunami of backlash, memes, mockery, and, shockingly, a few unexpected allies turning enemies. Let's break it down. Social media meltdown within hours of Kendrick's now-deleted tweet, "Lie once, and they doubt you forever." Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube were in a state of emergency. Hashtags like Drake lied, Free Smoke flop, Clipse back, Kendrick won, all trended simultaneously in over 10 countries. TikTok creators roasted the diss with theatrical reenactments of Drake lying on beat. One video even went viral using AI to animate Drake's face crying while Pusha T rapped behind him. It hit 9.6 million views in 24 hours. Twitter, as always, was merciless. A viral tweet read, "Drake lied about Kendrick," got ghostwritten by Reddit and dropped it the same day Clipse made a classic. "This is what we call karma, kids." Another fan wrote, "Drake dropping a fake diss while Clipse dropped the album of the year is like bringing a water pistol to a nuclear war." It wasn't just fans. The industry jumped in too. Celebrity responses, and they weren't on Drake's side. Let's start with Snoop Dogg. Snoop went live on Instagram the day after the chaos, holding a glass of wine, laughing and casually saying, "Man, these lil boys playing chess with kings and getting smacked off the board." Clipse ain't just back. They took the game back. Real spit. No gimmicks. Snoop didn't mention Drake by name, but the shade? Unmistakable. Then came Joe Budden, whose podcast obliterated Drake's diss in a fiery 12-minute rant. "Bro, Kendrick's been in a different weight class." And Clipse just showed us why we missed the real dope. Drake needs to take a break. He's rapping like a teenager who just got cheated on. Fans cheered. Drake fans cried, but the one that really stung, Rihanna. Now, Rihanna didn't say anything publicly, but her Instagram-like history told the story. Rihanna liked a post that said, "Drake's fake diss is why Kendrick never speaks, because real ones don't argue with lies." Within minutes, Blogs were screaming headlines like, "Rihanna sides with Kendrick after Drake's lie, savage." Ovo Queen turns her back on the sixth god. Even outlets like People, Billboard, and Complex ran the story. Just a like, but it spoke volumes. Then came the music journalists. Pitchfork gave the Clipse album a rare 9.5/10, calling it a spiritual and lyrical reckoning that obliterates modern rap mediocrity. And about Drake, a once dominant voice now echoes in desperation. Yikes, even the Breakfast Club couldn't defend him. Charlemagne said, "This is the worst we've ever seen Drake, not because he lost, but because he's lost himself." Drake's camp responds poorly. As if things weren't already bad, Drake's team issued a statement to select media outlets the following morning. They said the diss was a raw emotional response to years of subliminal disrespect. The story told was metaphorical, not literal. Too late, the damage was done. Fans weren't buying it. One fan quote blew up on Instagram. "So, Drake lied, got caught, and now he's gaslighting us? Boy, go cry on that marble countertop again." Then came the ultimate humiliation. Clipse invited to host Hip Hop Summit. Drake excluded. The 2025 Global Hip Hop Summit announced its keynote lineup. Confirmed names: Kendrick Lamar Clipse, Nas, Jay-Z, Missy Elliott. Who's missing? Drake. Industry insiders say the board felt Drake was too volatile right now and no longer representing the direction of hip-hop's evolution. One source said, "We want to highlight truth tellers, artists with vision, and right now that's not Drake." A leaked email thread, allegedly from a Universal rep, even showed panic over sponsors backing out of OVO partnerships, afraid of being attached to inauthenticity. And then came the meme heard around the world. A fan posted a photo of Clipse holding platinum plaques with the caption, "They came, they saw, they buried the boy." It was reposted by J. Cole. Yes, the other silent king in this saga, and fans lost their minds. Is Cole now co-signing Kendrick? Is Drake completely isolated? Because that's what it's starting to look like. Even streaming charts don't lie. Clipse, number 1 in 7 countries. Kendrick's old catalog, streaming up 42%. Drake's diss track? Down 71% in 2 days. The throne is slipping, and nobody, not even the most diehard fans, knows if Drake can stop the fall. But what's coming next? Let's just say a leaked text is about to expose something nuclear. You thought it couldn't get worse for Drake? Oh, you sweet summer child, because just when it looked like the firestorm had reached its peak, with Clipse reigning supreme, Kendrick silencing the world with 15 words, and the industry piling on, a final betrayal from inside Drake's own circle set the internet on fire. Let's break it down. The leaked texts that shattered everything. At exactly 11:13 a.m. On Wednesday, an anonymous Instagram account, Yovo Backdoor, posted screenshots of text messages allegedly exchanged between Drake and a high-ranking member of his OVO inner circle. The messages were, "Damning, you really gonna drop that weak shit knowing it's not true? I told you K not even thinking about you no more. You chasing ghosts while Clipse is eating your lunch. You need to fall back, bro." Within minutes, the screenshots went viral. The account quickly disappeared. But not before 20 million people had seen the texts. Bloggers scrambled to confirm the source. Then, just hours later, Rory and Mal, former members of the Joe Budden podcast, went live and confirmed the texts were real. "Let's just say we've spoken to someone who knows the sender very well," Mal teased. "And if that's who we think it is, this ain't just betrayal. This is mutiny." But here's where the cliffhanger truly begins, because among the texts was one line that no one could ignore. If this Kendrick heat gets any worse, he's gonna drop part 2. And you already know what's on that file. Part 2? What file? That sentence set the entire internet ablaze with theories. Are we talking about an unreleased Kendrick diss that's even worse than the Heart Part 5? A Clipse collaboration track with Kendrick? Or, as some fans believe, a secret vault track that could end Drake's career permanently? Because let's not forget, Kendrick is still silent. He hasn't confirmed or denied a thing, and that's what has Drake's team reportedly in total panic mode. One source told Page 6, "They're treating this like DEFCON 1. If that Kendrick Part 2 exists and it drops, it's over. Not just for this beef, for Drake's whole legacy." But here's the real bombshell. Kendrick's team teases something. Coming late Wednesday night, Top Dog Entertainment's head of digital marketing posted a now-deleted IG story showing a studio control room with one line of text. Sometimes the best response is the final one. Fans went crazy. Speculation ran wild. Is Kendrick finally ready to speak? Is part 2 real and on the way? Or is the silence the response? And the industry has already chosen its new kings. And while that cloud looms large, guess what Clipse did? They went quiet. No tour announcements, no press. Just one tweet from Pusha T, "We didn't come back for charts. We came back for balance." Mic drop. Meanwhile, Drake, he's been off social media for 3 days, a first in years. Sources claim he's in the Bahamas reworking plans. But fans believe he's either plotting one last Hail Mary diss, about to go on a long hiatus, or watching the walls close in while Kendrick holds the trigger. One thing's for sure, this isn't over. This is the calm before the storm, and whatever's on that part 2 file could destroy everything. And there you have it. Folks, the downfall of the Sixth God may have just been etched into history in real time, with Clipse rewriting the rules, Kendrick holding his silence like a loaded weapon, and the entire industry standing on shaky ground. But we're far from finished, because that mysterious Part 2 Kendrick file, it hasn't leaked yet. Because Drake? Still radio silent. Because Clipse? Might not be done taking heads. And you, yes, you watching right now, need to sound off. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was Drake's diss really that bad, or is the internet overreacting? Do you believe Kendrick is sitting on the real career-ending response? And be honest, is Clipse's Resurrection Season the best hip-hop album in the last 10 years? We want to hear your take. Don't hold back. Smash that like button if you think Drake might be done this time. You hit subscribe so you never miss a single twist. Trust me, this story is still unfolding. I can share this video with your crew, because if you thought this was wild, wait until you hear what's next. Word on the street is, a legendary West Coast icon just entered the chat. And if the rumors are true, Drake's not just in trouble. He's facing extinction. See you in the next one. And remember, in the rap game, silence can be louder than bars. Rap game, silence can be louder than bars.